Welcome back. This is episode 215 of the Veterinary Business video show. In this episode we'll learn why a business can decline when it loses the emotion and commitment of its founders, and we'll hear if practices attract the clients they deserve. We'll hear about the importance of leveraging your support staff team. We'll see why not a problem could be a real problem in your practice, and I'll offer you my quick business tip for this episode. I'm John Sheridan, and this is the video show from Veterinary Business. When I graduated a good many years ago and was looking for my first job, the practice marketplace was very different from the veterinary scene today. There were very many more mixed practices. There were plenty of single-handed or very small practices with an owner and just one or two veterinary assistants, and there were no veterinary hospitals. There were, however, a small number of very large mixed practices with a host of branch surgeries, many of them simple lock-up clinics in the villages and towns surrounding the central practice premises. These large mixed practices were owned by a principal vet or by a partnership, and they seemed to thrive as long as the owner or senior partner was clearly in control and taking most of the management decisions. As the years went by, the market changed dramatically. Many partnerships split up, and a number of practices which had once been regarded as leading the profession went into decline. That sort of structural change, of course, isn't confined to the veterinary profession, and I was interested to see this video from Chris Zook, the Harvard Business Review, which suggests why many businesses start to decline when they lose the emotional commitment initially brought to the business by its founders.
Why is it that some companies age prematurely, bureaucratize, lose their energy, become unappealing to the young people, while others don't? Others stay innovative sometimes even for decades and go from success to success and are excellent at retaining the talent of their young people and therefore finding new ways of growth and innovation. We found that overwhelmingly those companies where the successful founder was still somehow deeply involved were performing radically and dramatically better. Now I want to talk about the three elements of the founder's mentality. So what are they? And we think at Bain this is the best set of measures or best lens by which to look at the internal health of an organization. So the first one is what we called insurgency. Insurgency is about a mission that creates emotional content and enthusiasm. Insurgency is about building something for the long term, not about quarterly earnings. It's about being inspiring to young people, not just being like just another bank, just another insurance company. Now you might say this is obvious, but right now here's another really amazing fact. Only 13% of people in the average American company, according to the Gallup poll organization, say they have any emotional connection with the organization in which they work. It's basically just a place to go. And our research shows that if you have the founders, this element of the founder's mentality of insurgency, and you have this connection, you are about 4 to 5 times more likely to recommend your most talented friends to work there, and you are even more importantly maybe, 4 to 5 times more likely to take your own time to solve a problem, deliver a customer package on the way home, answer a call on a Sunday morning, offer an innovative idea, and that's just huge. The second element of the founder's mentality is what we called frontline obsession. Now, every founder was either the first salesperson, the person who turned the lights on and off at night, slept in the store, slept in the factory, maybe the product designer. And yet as companies grow larger, layers come in, and people draw farther from the front line. And we found that the ability of a company to maintain the intellectual curiosity of a founder in its detail, to keep having the heroes be the baristas at Starbucks rather than someone in corporate headquarters, and to stay close to the customers so that they remain as much as possible names and not massaged averages and huge corporate market research reports, that actually kept companies grounded, gave them greater speed on what to react to in the marketplace, and created a much healthier culture. The third element is what we call owner's mindset. This is really the essence of private equity. It is what creates a sense of responsibility, a deep desire to get into the solution or confront problems fast than making them somebody else's problem. Just like for humans, there are predictable life passages of us with predictable crises, that for companies also have sort of a life cycle.
Now let's see who's on the video show Soapbox. I've always believed that by and large a veterinary practice generates the clients it deserves. Treat your clients the way you would wish to be treated by your own professional advisor, and that's how they will treat you and your business. There will always be exceptions, of course, and from time to time every practice will have to cope with a client having a bad day. Joel Parker of Veterinary Practice Solutions describes these individuals as dog clients, and in this clip he discusses how to manage those occasions so that a client doesn't leave your practice ready to send a bad review, and so your staff can work comfortably without avoiding the client or triggering hostility.
This week we're talking about an interesting topic about how some practices can descend down into toxicity and start thinking that clients are somehow bad, and that there's too many clients, and that what we call dog clients. And the title here is that there's dog patients, yes, but no dog clients. And what happens in this is that sometimes a practice can be so overwhelmed and overrun, or you've got the wrong people on the front desk that don't know how to handle clients that are perhaps having a bad day. What happens then is that you've got the client's bad day, you've got the staff member's reaction to it, and the whole thing fuels up, and the next thing you know, the client's leaving upset, and the staff member is going into the back and nattering. Nattering is a word for negative chatter, natter. The staff member is nattering to another staff member about the client that just left. And the danger here nowadays is that clients can go out and they can post with vengeance for hundreds of thousands of people to see worldwide a bad Google or bad Yelp review. So the bottom line is, I like the two rules of customer service. Number one, the client is always right. And number two, if you think the client's wrong, then refer back to rule number one. And that's just always been super, super successful, because clients can have bad days, and one never knows what's going on in another person's life. And the only thing that you can do, and the best thing that you can do, is have some kindness and some understanding for some grumpy people, and make sure that you know how to be there comfortably without avoiding or flinching with the client. Okay, we call that confronting, and being a very nice person and handling what you see. I'm not saying that clients are always right in every single situation, but 99% of the time they are. And that many times staff members have to be reminded as to where their paycheck comes from, and that what is your purpose of being there. So a couple take-homes here today. Number one, remind your staff of who the clients are. They're coming in, they're choosing you. They've made a habit of choosing your practice and returning to it. That's so valuable. In fact, again, the 2014 AHA IDEX study, State of the Industry study, showed that an average client could be worth up to $13,600 just through the lifetime of the pet, of that wonderful loyalty and habit of that client coming back to you. So they are not dog clients. Wonderful dog patients, yes. And then finally, if you've got a staff member or two that has descended into the toxic basement of nattering about clients and saying how wrong they are, then you need to have a good little correction cycle with them and a really honest chat with them, saying, guys, we're just not doing that anymore. If you don't like the clients here, perhaps this isn't the practice for you. I can appreciate you run into some tough times, but at the same time, one of the key things that needs to happen, especially for people on the front lines, on the front desk, or in the exam room, is learn how to communicate properly. Okay? So go ahead and in private correct your staff member, and if they want to right fight you on that, on saying that, want to argue with you, then you probably have got the wrong person.
Now for a tip from the top in the business world of veterinary practice. One of the key practice performance indicators I looked at in a client practice during my years as a management consultant to the profession was the ratio between the number of vets and the total number of clinical and non-clinical support staff. Why is that important? Well, it gave me an indication of the value the practice placed on regarding those skilled, enthusiastic and professional individuals as working partners with the vets to achieve their joint objectives for the business. Here's a clip in which Mark Opperman describes the situation in the United States and offers some advice about the importance of what he calls leveraging the support staff team.
So, have you ever heard of the concept known as leveraging? Leveraging is how many support staff do you have, full-time equivalent status, to full-time equivalent doctor. And in a typical veterinary hospital, your normal ratio of support staff to full-time equivalent doctor would be 3 to 1. Now, when we're talking about support staff, we're talking about all of your team members, receptionists, technicians, veterinary assistants, all those individuals. And again, we're looking at this as a full-time equivalency, and that's defined as, between 35 and 40 hours a week. So in a typical veterinary hospital, we have a ratio of about 3 to 1. In a highly leveraged veterinary practice, we have a ratio of 5 to 1. So we're going to have 5 support staff to every full-time equivalent doctor within the practice. Now here's the information that's really great about this. In a 3 to 1 practice, your doctors usually can produce between $300,000 to $500,000 of revenue over the course of the year. In a 5 to 1 practice, they can produce between $500,000 to $800,000 or even more. But there is usually a $300,000 differential, give or take, between the 3 to 1 practice and the 5 to 1 practice. Why? Well, think about this. In a 3 to 1 practice, the doctor is probably going to be doing their own cytology. They're going to be doing, maybe reading their own fecals, maybe even cleaning cages within the practice. In a 5 to 1, they're not going to be doing that. They're going to spend more time doing medicine, surgery, obviously generating revenue within the practice. Now, it's not just bodies. You got to be very careful about that. We're not just talking about 5 bodies per full-time equivalent doctor, but highly trained individuals within your practice. But having a leveraged team can significantly increase the revenue, and I also think the customer service and hopefully the patient care as well.
Now for my quick business tip for this episode. It's often said that it isn't the major issues which can cause stress in a marriage, a partnership, or a business relationship. It's the drip of the little irksome annoyances over a period of time that can eventually cause a rift. Wendy Myers thinks that staff members who respond to a courteous thank you or other comment by constantly saying, "No problem," is a good example. Here's what she has to say.
Welcome to my video on why saying no problem is a big problem. So a pet owner says to you, "Thank you," and you reply, "No problem." This simple 2-word phrase could be driving your callers and clients crazy. Even when cheerfully delivered, no problem comes with baggage. And customer service experts agree that when you say no problem, it actually implies that either the customer or his request is a problem. If I am thanking you for your kindness or your service, why are you mentioning problems? Now, we've seen a change in our culture that the phrase "no problem" has evolved to mean "you're welcome." Because no problem can completely negate the gratitude, try a different response, such as "you're welcome," or "I appreciate the opportunity to help you and your pet," or "I'm happy to help."
So what's my quick business tip? Well, it's this. It's quick and it's simple. Take every opportunity to really listen to what your team members are saying to your clients. Are they saying what you want them to say? If not, then you need to work with them to find an appropriate form of words which reflect your practice standards and values. In particular, get rid of the "no problem" and replace it with "it's a great pleasure" or something similar. Well, that's about it for now. I'm John Sheridan, and this has been another video show from Veterinary Business. See you next time.